I acquired a personal Grail, and I'm ready to unbox it and hang it up here on the wall. Are you wondering which Grail it could possibly be? Hey there, today I have an unboxing video. I hesitate to call these CGC unboxing videos because I think that those are really kind of set aside for your books that you have raw, that you're speculating on condition wise, and you're hoping that they'll be in high grade, and you're sending them off for grading, receiving them, and unboxing them. Then I think those are traditional CGC unboxing. But I have an unboxing of a CGC graded book that I picked up from Heritage Auctions, and I I feel like, and I've talked about this before, like there's really no sniping when it comes to Heritage Auctions because the books there, regardless of any theories around bidding or just how prices and sales work over there, there's just no such thing as sniping. The books are expensive. And it's one of those situations where if you're looking for a particular comic book, especially one high grade, slabbed, gold and silver age, something like that, keys, grails, all of that, they have it. So it's one of those where, it's supply and demand, and the supply is there. And if you're willing to spend the money, then you can acquire the books. I've purchased books from Heritage in the past. I've had, for the most part, a good experience with them. And I do realize that you are paying an extreme premium to get books from Heritage. And I understand all of that. So in this unboxing, I purchased a single book. And for me, it is a personal grail. It is a book that I've been looking for probably my entire comic book collecting career, hobby, experience, journey. And I had to figure out if I was willing to wait for one of a particular grade, a higher grade, or try and find something in my budget. For me personally, presentation is very much of great importance, and that's why high grade books, books that are well centered, and all of that, that's extremely important to me. And there are times where, and I hate the phrase like, well, the book presents well. I really can't stand that because I feel like it's a sales tactic. But in some cases, I'm willing to look at a lower grade, mid grade to acquire a significant book for my collection if it does present well. So not so much to resell it, but for me to present it, display it on a wall like the one behind me, and so on. So this particular auction came up, and when these books come up, and I have some videos. I haven't done one in a while, but it kind of walks you through how I prep for Heritage, and I compare values, and then I basically set a target range. And these are books that I would love to acquire all the books in that target range. And if it falls out of the range, I have to not participate in the bidding because then it just doesn't make good financial sense. And most of the time, all the books fall out of that range, but every once in a while, a book stays within that target. And that's when it's like, I don't know if that's technically sniping, but it is something where it's really targeted bidding that I'm trying to accomplish here when I set up these ranges, like a low, mid, and high range. And I make sure that, I'm trying to stay within that low to mid range when I'm kind of hovering and circling over a book. So this particular book, I have a wish list alert that I talk about often. You want to take advantage of that because you can't be sitting there searching constantly on various sites for when your books come up for sale. And I had an alert that popped on Heritage Auctions, and this one, I don't want to say it's rare or it's common. It shows up maybe once a month on Heritage in various grades, sometimes even raw. But most of the time, there's some drastic miswrapping and so forth that occurs on it. And I really wanted one that was well centered. And when this book showed up in the particular grade that it did, I looked up the values, I thought about my budget, and everything just sort of lined up. I will kind of talk about the amount and the range and what I was looking for to pay. And it's a little scary for me because this was one of those scenarios where I was willing to pay more. Um, and I'm bothered by that because I'm like, am I looking at the numbers correctly? Am I doing my math in the right way? What am I caught up in the emotion of acquiring the book and I'm ignoring things? It was just one of those where I was a little bit weirded out. So the book came up for auction, and what I ended up doing was I sort of pre-bid. And so normally, I think that putting in the amount that you'd be willing to pay doesn't always make sense because there's a lot of savvy buyers on there in terms of an understanding of the book's current value. And I strongly believe that GPA is sort of the guide that people use. Hopefully not robots, but actual people when they're bidding and they're buying on items at Heritage. I think that GPA is really kind of the standard, and I've done a lot of analysis around this, and it's like plus or minus 5% on either side around the GPA value when these books end at auction. So I just use that number and think to myself, okay, what am I willing to pay? So when I saw the grade, the book, the GPA, the presentation, I had a limit. And I went into the pre-bid and I threw something up there that was somewhere, I don't remember the actual percentage, but it was much less than what my max bid was going to be. And like I said, I don't normally pre-bid because I just figure I'll wait for the bidding, because the pre-bid you always get outbid. There's no sense in bidding $100 on a $1,000 book because it'll just get outbid. There's no way that you're going to be able to acquire a book like that. And so I want to say maybe 20 minutes before the book went up for auction, I did put a pre-bid in. I put in a number that I felt was maybe somewhere between the middle and the maximum of my range. And I thought to myself, well, this will keep me in the running. Maybe it'll knock a couple of interested parties out, and then I'll keep my max bid in mind, and I'll stay under that. And then we'll just see how the auction proceeds. So the item came up, and what happens is there's a display of the current amount, and that amount is locked, I believe, like 24 hours before. And then what I am calling the pre-bid is actually like a secret bid. So people don't. So if it's $100 book, it's locked in at 100, and if you've bid 200, no one actually sees that bid until the auction goes live, until that item goes up for bidding right at that moment. And then what happens is all of the internet secret bids get determined and figured out, and then you'll see that $100 book is automatically pushed up to 200, and you'll see those bids in the live auction. It'll go up by the bid increments of 10 or 20 bucks or whatever it is. So I pre-bid, I put in my secret bid, whatever. The auction begins on the item, and it immediately hit the increments, and there it went, and it's creeping up to my secret bid, and then it stopped. It stopped right at what I put in for my pre-bid. And then the countdown began. There were no other bidders. And with Heritage Auctions, you have to do your homework and you have to really understand what you're bidding on beforehand, because the items move quickly. The bids are fast. It's rapid. It's very, very hectic. But if you have everything mapped out ready to go, then you know what your number is, and you can play along, but if you're not prepared, it feels like it moves really fast. So the increments went up, it hit my number, and then the auction ended. And I panicked because I thought, did somebody come in and bid and I didn't realize that my secret bid was outbid and I thought it was mine? I was really scared because I was like, I would have paid more than that number that it ended on. and then quickly jumped into my account and looked at my won lots, and certainly, or sure enough, there it was. And then that's when I panicked again, thinking, okay, what did I do? Did I bid on a bad book or something? Because I knew that my maximum was much higher than it ended at. Not incredibly higher. We're not talking hundreds or thousands of dollars, but there was some percentage that I was willing to go up to. And it ended. So I was very grateful that I got it at the number that I set. And I was happy that I did it. And again, I don't always recommend it, but then in this case, I kind of went against my own guidance there and just figured, what the heck, I'll just put in that pre-bid and see what happens, and then be prepared once the auction begins to go ahead and bid up to my max, and then figured if it hits the max, I'll get out. And sure enough, it held at that number. Okay, so now you have the whole story. What book is it? Hopefully there's some clue in this video that you're seeing, so you won't be totally shocked. But let's go ahead and unbox this and take it out of the package and maybe take a look at it, because a lot of times with slabbed books, graded books, there are great opportunities to learn. And I have certain books in my collection at different tiers. I have a 5.5, I have a 9.0, I have an 8.5, I have all of these different markers and tiers of grades. And when I'm not sure about a book's grade, I'll often use these CGC slabbed books as my guide in a way. Now, it's not always perfect. I understand there's nuances and differences between the grades. I understand all that, but as a general guide, I'm looking at this. So let's unbox it. Let's look at the grade, and then I will show you kind of the numbers that I was talking about, and compare it to kind of GPA and the current market, and then get the book hung up on the wall behind me. So I'm super excited to open this. Let's take a look. Okay, here we go. This is the order from Heritage Auctions. This is the typical box that it arrives in. So let's get this open. Okay, one of the things with Heritage, they love themselves some bubble wrap. They spare no expense with that, which is great. And I save all of this and reuse it, because it's premium, barely used bubble wrap. It's great, fantastic. And then here is the slab, completely wrapped in here. Oh, this is so awesome. Like I said, I've been hunting, I don't want to say how many years I've been looking for this book. And not just looking for it like it's hard to find, but just finding the right time, the right place, the right moment, the right grade, the right price. And then, you know, as a collector, in this hobby, you want a deal. Everybody wants a deal. You want to find a deal. So when I was able to throw that bid up there and I got the book for what I got it at, again, not cheap, but I felt like, okay, I think I got a little bit of value here. So again, lots of great bubble wrap. They take this and they just wrap the slab. They go around it probably 4 or 5 times. So here it is. You're starting to see it. I'm going to show you the back first here. And let's get it out of the plastic. All right, here we go. It is X-Men 101 in a 5.0 off-white to white pages. And I'll do my best to try and keep the glare off the book. I apologize. But here it is. God, amazing. I can't believe I have this book. This is great. I'm just checking out the slab to make sure there's no cracks or anything. It looks pretty good. So the first thing I'll notice, this book is really dirty. I am not, I would say it's not that I'm a fan or not. I'm nervous about cracking slabs and taking books out, but there's a lot of dirt on the back that if I had a book like this, I would mark it like available for a clean and press. Look at all, you can really see the detail in there. So lots of dirt. So definitely, I mean, it's a 5.0, but again, I use this as also, or I plan on using this, I should say, as a guide. The good news is I'm not displaying the book this way. I'm displaying the book this way. And again, when I wanted, what I wanted out of this book is a maybe not a perfectly wrapped book. I did notice that on the back you can see a little bit of the front cover coming across, but from an alignment perspective, it's nearly perfect in terms of the alignment. And the other thing was the color. This is not the brightest and most vibrant X-Men 101 I've ever seen, but it's not faded like I've seen some. It's not like a wall book or a display book. I forget the term that they use sometimes, like show copy or something like that, where these are the books that are always like put up for display. So a lot of times they're faded. Um, it gosh it really does present well. Again, I said I hated that, but anyway, it is, if you're wondering what is the significance, it is the origin and first appearance of Phoenix and Jean Grey Phoenix, one of my favorite characters. Phoenix is my favorite member of the X-Men, and it just looks amazing and fantastic. I I honestly can't believe it. I've been looking for this book for a long time. So let's look at it a little bit closer here, and then I'll show you. I'll talk about the price and the cost and everything. So for a 5.0, I often say that when we get under the 6, the top usually has to have some sort of like chipping or fraying or something going on there, and the top of the book looks pretty sharp, right? I mean, that's like if you held a book up like this, right, and you just said guess the grade, you're like 9.4, 9.2. So from a presentation perspective, it looks great. I think that, and there is a little scratch going across the slab, which is unfortunate right in there, but it's light scratching. You don't really notice it when it's kind of upright and away from the light. The spine, I'm sure you've noticed, it definitely has some pretty nasty color breaks. Really harsh color breaks in here. And get a little closer. So you can see the spine is really rough. Corner, blunted for sure, right in there. Not the worst corners you've ever seen, but, soft. The other corners look pretty sharp. Not bad. This has a color breaking fold, so that is something else that I'd have to consider when I'm grading books on my own and looking at a 5.0 grade. So there's that, and you'll see that a lot, especially in this age of book where just the corner flap just got caught somewhere, and then just sat with a crease and the color break. Now, really, I think it's the back. The back looks absolutely filthy and horrible. And again, I'm glad that I don't have to display the back of the book. It looks stained. I mean, you call it stained, foxing, mold, dirt. I mean, whatever you want to call it, it does not look good. And it's certainly, like I said, the wrapping is just slightly off here. So just really awful. And I'm glad I don't have to stare at that. But there it is. So that is X-Men 101 joining my collection. And I'm going to go ahead and do the honors here and go ahead and add it to the wall. All right. And then I'll just kind of pose with it, right? There it is. Hopefully you caught the clue early on, but beautiful. Love it. So it makes me want to redo these with all of my X-Men slabs. Let me just quickly get into the numbers a little bit. I'm not going to do a whole order breakdown or anything like that, but just wanted to kind of show you some of the GPA values and kind of, what I was doing at Heritage to kind of target the book. Okay, so here is that auction. I don't mind disclosing, the actual financials, the numbers, because if you wanted to look this up anyway, it's all public record. So you could see here, it was sold on March 28th, 2022 for $264 and includes buyer's premium. If you don't know what buyer's premium is, you can see that right at the top, I won this lot actually with a $220 bid. So it was an additional $44 on top of that. And you can read more about buyer's premium at Heritage Auctions. But that is the other thing that you have to be aware of if you're participating in these auctions, is that the actual bid is not your final bid. You have to pay an additional fee on top of it, which is usually a percentage once it's above $29, percentage of the final sale. And so what I do in my tracking is that I calculate that. I include the buyer's premium so that I understand this is my actual bid number that I'm willing to go up to if the buyer's premium is included, so that I stay at or below GPA or whatever the number is that I'm comfortable with. And so this is that book. This is the exact book that, that I bid, thank goodness. Same cert number and everything. So it is here. It is now public record. And the thing is, too, when you buy these books and you're getting them for a lot lower than the current market value, then that number actually goes back into GPA and it influences the market. So let's look at it at GPA. So here is the, let me scroll up and just show you that it is X-Men 101. Again, a 9.8, selling for 44.50. Out of my price range, signed by Chris Claremont for $8,000. That's awesome. Recently sold in February. What I did was I just said, this is a book that I'm on the lookout for, and then what is my target grade as it kind of matches up with my budget. So because a 9.8 is out of my budget, I just started to scroll down until the numbers became a little more friendly. And then also, obviously, a 9.2 for 237 sold in May 2007. We cannot really factor that in to the current market. So I'm looking for 2022 sales for the last sale. And then once we get beyond the yellow label here, it alternates yellow and blue for the signature series and the standard blue label. And then I'm looking, is an 8.0 in my range? Still no. Let's go down to 7. Nope, still kind of high. And then I just kind of settled in thinking, well, maybe, somewhere between a 3 and a 6 is where I'm going to end up. So when the 5 came up, I thought, well, okay, it looks like GPA. This column is the 60-day, and then this is the 90-day, and then this is the last sold date, going from left to right. And I looked at it and thought, well, okay, we're talking about a $350 to $400 book. And what I was willing to do at Heritage was put down a $300 bid, and then the buyer's premium would be tacked on top of that. And that would keep me under the 400, right? So 300 was my target bid. What I ended up doing was when I did the pre-bid, I actually put 220 in there. And the book was somewhere, it was close to $100. It really was low. It was not getting a lot of attention before the auction began. So I figured, well, 220 would shoot it up close to 260 with the buyer's premium, and that's even below the 300 target bid without the buyer's premium. And I was just kind of playing around with the numbers and figured that's kind of where I would settle in. But if you look at kind of the last sale dates here for a 4.0, a 4.0 last sold for 380, a 3.0 last sold in 2021 for 300. And here's one from January, 2.0 sold for 230. So I figured, well, maybe if the market's dipping or something, I felt like that $220 bid was, again, it was kind of a nice point where I felt like maybe I could get into a little bit of a bidding war after a few dropped off. But I was comfortable right in that area. But it ended up ending there. And if you're looking at this, again, 350, 90 days, 400 last 12 months, the 264 for me feels like really, really great value at that grade. We're looking at, here's a 6.0 sold for 500. So just a whole grade point. And then a 5.5 sold for 305, which also I think is pretty good value there at the 5.5. But I was very, very happy to walk away with that book in a 5.0 at 264. Now, again, what this is going to do is it's going to show the book trending down. It is not it's not the all-time low for sure. But but it is the low of 2022. Let's see just how many sold. So here are the 5 that sold. 330 in January, 335, and then it shot up to 400 February and March, and then it dropped to 264. So, it's a lot of money for a comic book. I get that, but for me, this was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to add this book to my collection for all the reasons I stated previously. For me, a lot of this is based on the analysis that I'm doing. All of these number crunching and the spreadsheets and all of the stuff that I'm putting into the hobby, not just from the reading and the collecting and the organizing perspective, but the analytical side. This is the benefit. This is the payoff, is that you can see a book pop, you get the alert, you look at the tracking system, you see it falls within a range, you understand the buyer's premium calculation, and you don't have to do that every time, right? So think about the kind of analysis, think about where you're getting your books, think about just how you want to spend your money, and build out your algorithms and build out your process around it. Because then when these opportunities come up, like I said, with Heritage, it moves fast. It really, really moves fast. And you can get caught up in it when you're thinking about, oh, this is a Grail, I want to acquire it. And then, oh, you forget about buyer's premium. Then you end up you overpay by $50, $100, hundreds of dollars, thousands potentially, right? So for me, this really, really was a really nice payoff for all of the hard work that I've been putting into the hobby over the last few years. And I'm just super excited and happy and thrilled to add a Grail to my collection. And I'm going to sit with this for a while and appreciate it. And then maybe down the road, it might be an opportunity to even upgrade the book over a 5. But I really think for the money I paid, I got really nice value. So what do you think? How did I do? Is it a good price point? Is the market slipping? And I just caught the book sliding in the downfall of the market? Were people not paying attention to it at the time? What do you think? Is Heritage a place that you like to bid at? Or do you stick with eBay? Love to get your feedback in the comments. What Grails are you looking for? I love the conversation. I appreciate you watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.